Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on another fantastic Friday. Not just because it's raining, blessings pour from on high, but because as you join us and we invite you to go on our Facebook or YouTube and you see the presence of our guests, and in particular this time around as we talk to the good friends from Sustainable Cayman, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us. And I say many times when you look at where you are in history and you recognize the importance of your contribution, or sometimes lack thereof, you're always mindful that always somebody who is willing to stand in the gap, and if it's you, wow, that's a good place to be. Honored to welcome from Sustainable Cayman both Ms. Soleil Parkinson and Ms. Hannah Bodden. Thanks very much for coming on board. I will be guided by you and through you, hopefully invite others to recognize that the space we occupy is key. Doesn't matter if we go, back in our ancestral history and there are countless generations, or we've only just set foot. Maybe the cat boat just pulled up at the shore somewhere back us. No, not a drug boat, the cat boat. Or you've had a Cayman Airways flight that just, your first time as you hit on the tarmac. If that's where you are in a time in which you got to make a positive contribution. Now, it's that naive in my attempt to be jovial, but I think it's noble. Well,
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
for
yes.
sure.
All right. Well, welcome and join, us and help us to appreciate where you are. I think, look at Miss Soleil. Ms. Hannah, you want to go first? Who wants to join us?
Yeah, Hannah, do you want to introduce?
Sure. So thank you for everyone listening. My name is Hannah, and I am a part of Sustainable Cayman as well as Soleil. And Sustainable Cayman is an organization where we try to preserve Cayman culture through eco-conservation, as well as providing public education to bring awareness to the fact that our lands and our seas are very important to us and should be preserved, and just the general fact that we can sustainably present ourselves in the way that we review legislation, the way that we protect our islands, all three, not just one.
Yeah.
And we're here today to speak on a few things.
Well, thank you. Now, for those of us, how long has Sustainable Cayman been around? I understand your vision, your mission, but what was the impetus? I mean, how did it come about and why?
So, Sustainable Cayman was created after the original port referendum, and it kind of started up as a way to help educate the broader public on changes in politics and things like that, how we protect our island, how we show up for our island and our history and our culture. Yeah.
Be present and accounted for, stand in the gap.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's great that we see more of us being engaged in that sort of socio-political discussions, and not about vitriol, not about, opposing. It's about education.
Exactly. And I think that's an important point, because we have had some comments in the past where it appears as though we're trying to be combative, and that's not what we're here for. We're here to support the public in their engagement, because it belongs to all of us, our lands, our seas, our marine life. It belongs to us, right? So we want to make sure that the public is aware of how they can contribute.
I want to ask this as much for my own edification, but for us as a people to recognize. In an organization, there's always one person, maybe that coach on that team who's just a great motivator. It may be the captain or some other player, or it could be a parent of one of the players, depending on it could be that fan. It's always someone or something that drives. With respect to Sustainable Cayman, who are the drivers, the movers, the shakers, the beans and the doings?
Yeah, so the head of Sustainable Cayman is Melanie Carmichael. She's also on the committee of the National Trust. She keeps us together. She organizes us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us youth ambassadors, and she really helps us learn a lot and learn how to hold ourselves and how to appear and what we need to do next.
If only, and only if you think it would be helpful. The reason why I know people type on some device and they go to some place and they read something and it may stick and may learn. I believe talking helps us to engage.
For sure.
So if from that perspective, how is it structured? We know there are other organizations that are appointed and organized under law, some through some constitution or what, but would knowing the structure and the hierarchy and how it works, would that help? If not, don't worry about it. Somebody can Google something somewhere.
Right. So we do a few things. The main thing that we start with is we have monthly meetings and we discuss what is on our agenda, right? And that's a great time for all of us to get together and look at different aspects and different ways that we all have to approach things. So for me, I look at the legislative side of things and the policies and how it can be applied to certain developments or certain, objection letters that might be applied to, for example, what we're going to talk about today, the coastal works applications. And it's an amazing way for all of us to get together because we all have different contributions and it's just very important.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have like our own specialty and our own interests, and we kind of split up and focus on the things that we're most interested in, and we all kind of just work together in that way.
Yeah,
that's commendable. I mean, as you sit, I'm thinking to other more mature jurisdictions that may have things that they call a policy institute, a think tank, or something that is organized where they comment, sometimes to influence the public / political agenda, sometimes just to disseminate information, maybe just to justify the existence, who knows, but those things exist. In the Cayman landscape, we're increasingly seeing more and more of that, but not sufficiently enough, that comments, hey, did you know this was happening and this is the pros and cons? We don't, whether we're the reporters or whether we're the parliamentarians and the like. So this is key.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, truly. Like, there's so much going on, Even for us, it's, what is there, like 15 of us?
Yeah.
So it's really a battle to keep up with everything and try and educate.
Huh. There was once 15 members of the Legislative Assembly. Maybe we
exactly.
All right. When we come back from our first break, can we talk more? And you said you want to talk about the coastal works.
Yes.
But in particular, the one at the the Grand Hyatt? Or
the new Hyatt, the Pageant Beach Hyatt.
Okay. Please take us through, because one thing I've found, many of us believe we know something, and when we realize if we pay attention, we can actually learn, or may have figured out, wasn't exactly what I thought.
Yeah. There's always more to know.
Yeah.
You listening? You hear that? All right. Hannah and Soleil, thank you for your presence. Thanks for a couple more minutes, and we can talk about that when we return.
Thank you.
For our listeners, stay tuned. Join us after the break.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning.
Ouch!
When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Hey, Mom and Dad. School is nearly back in session. Is your child ready for the school year? Stop by Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village and pick up all your child's stationery supplies. You won't need to break the bank to get your little one prepared for the school year. You have enough to worry about. Make back to school a breeze with Savannah Pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336. Savannah Pharmacy supports your education in our small community. That's why the first 20 customers will receive a free fully stocked school bag. Savannah Pharmacy. We love our community.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Let's come together to build a more dementia-friendly Cayman Islands. Dementia affects many in our community, and small acts of kindness can make a big difference. Here's how you can help. Be patient and understanding. Offer support with a warm smile and a gentle approach. Learn the signs. Recognize symptoms like memory loss or confusion and respond with empathy. Make spaces accessible. Ensure businesses and public areas are easy to navigate and safe for those with dementia. Get involved by becoming a dementia friend. Together we can make our islands a more inclusive and supportive place for everyone. For more information, please call the Alzheimer's and Dementia Association at 924-4170 or 936-1655.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And as it's a Friday and it's probably raining and somehow you found yourself in your space and can't get out, this is a good reason. If you needed one, now you do. I'll give you a second one that's even more important. From Sustainable Cayman, Hannah and Soleil joins us. I find sometimes in societies, but in particular in the Cayman context, many of us, and if you'd allow me to put me in your category, as I say, many of us, as we're young, some of us don't want to hear what we got to say because you're young. Yet the scripture says, don't let them despise you because of your youth. But it is the youth, the youthful, fresh, new perspective that sometimes can not only inform, but question.
Yeah.
So with that said, you said there's some coastal works coming up. We've had a few people talk about it. But for those of us who don't, tell us.
Yeah, so this was something we wanted to talk about just because there's been so much coastal work applications going through the last few months and, lots of interaction from public, of course. Today we just wanted to talk specifically about the proposed dock at the new Hyatt Hotel, as that's been quite controversial. So just kind of talking about the difficulties it could pose for the future and why it's important to know about.
Okay. Can I then ask, because many times, I think we alluded to it earlier, if we even didn't say it directly, so much happening that you don't catch it until after, or when you see it, you say, well, somebody else will take care of it, or just in passing. For coastal works license applications, and this one in particular, how did that come on your radar? I mean, do you get an email, an alert? Do you consciously go seeking? Did someone call and say, hey guys, I mean, And then there's a reason, obviously supplementary, but how did this one or others, but this one in particular, get on your radar?
Well, I think that's a great question, but I think mainly just through public engagement. We get a lot of questions. I mean, I get questions from my friends all the time, and they're like, can you answer this? And I'm like, let me double check. And we ask. So mainly public engagement, and I think also just us looking for it, because that's, you know, part of our job.
Very conscious, deliberate, because you have an interest.
Yeah.
The reason why, and this is not to disparage anybody, but having a chat with one individual, knowing our expected discussion today, he shared that there are so many things. Now, he's a little bit, a few years my senior, as it is. There used to be this gazette that you had to pay for, the Cayman Gazette, and things were published there by law, and you would know. But until you actually saw it, you would know where to look. The planning department, the CPA, not the planning department, the CPA has its minutes, it publishes. Cabinet has its minutes, it publishes it. And unless you are looking for it or somehow on the mailing list or consciously, his view was that, and even with FOI legislation now, there's so much that happens that almost, whether by default or design, people are not aware.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Okay, so
yeah.
See that? He could be smart.
Yeah, that's actually something Hannah was going to talk about.
I think I'm so glad that you brought up that point, because
great minds.
Yeah.
Us young people, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it reminded me of my time during youth parliament. It was a point that we looked at. I was on the opposition side, and just the fact that many things do go under the radar, and the public has a right to know. So, when legislation is gazetted and people have a chance to object and, recommend amendments, that's important as well. But we also were looking at the fact that many plans that do go through with developments, many people don't see them until they're gazetted, right? And you do have the option as the public to book an appointment with government, the Ministry of Sustainability, to review a plan before it goes through to cabinet, so that you can make a letter of objection, or if you have any amendments that you would suggest that are within the line of the law, then you can do that as well.
I believe that everybody should have an opinion. I believe everybody should be free to voice their opinion, no matter how far-fetched or how well-researched it may be. I also believe that, unfortunately, in the Cayman context, you voice an opinion and it can be held against you.
Yes.
Now, that is unfortunate. So I ask, and only if you so choose to wish, is it your opinion? And that when it comes to things like this, given that if you are not consciously looking for it, maybe you heard it through somewhere, or you just your personal interest. You want to buy a particular thing and you just keep looking in the classifieds for it. This still exists, I think. Okay. In this instance, would it be your view that projects of certain type coastal works, large-scale projects, a government project of any kind, should be that any and everybody has at least an opportunity to know about it sufficient advance, or should it only be next door or 5 feet away? Or now, not to make it controversial, I understand legislation has been amended to restrict it, according to some, the area that needs to be legally notified, but sometimes that impact of that thing may go well beyond that immediate area. So only if you wish to voice your opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody in Cayman should have the opportunity to believe and speak on what they believe and know the things before they happen. At the end of the day, the government works for us as the people, and it's important that we play our role in democracy to stand up for what we believe in.
And I don't think that's a political thing, but even saying that, and the reason why I consciously ask that, there are a number of us sitting around the other day just having a chat, and some objected. They had a different view. They said, well, you're doing an apartment development, 10 stories was the example, and you'll notice area is 50 feet or 500 feet. The view was, well, it's one of those people. Now, it isn't to object for objection. It's to publication for information so that you know. And it was a nice discussion, but it was divided. Some thought the cost was there, some thought there could be frivolous objectors, understanding it, but to what extent are we going to deny a voice because we don't know? So flip the coin over. Some things are in the public domain. Governments, legislation, they have a proposal for something, irrespective of our view whether 30 days or 90 days or it should be 106, whatever that consultation period, many of us, we don't take a second to even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get that engagement?
Well, I think the first thing is Sustainable Cayman is a perfect example of where we do try to promote public engagement. And I think it just has to do with every single family wanting to know that, their opinion matters, right? And it doesn't have to necessarily come off as controversial that they should have, an opinion, right? I think the biggest thing maybe for government is that people come across as informed and that they know what they're talking about, right?
Okay.
So I think Sustainable Cayman does a really good job at trying to promote public engagement. I feel that, we could all do a better job at also ourselves. Maybe
individual
just reading.
responsibility.
Yeah, because we all have a responsibility to continue learning and to continue reading as well.
Yeah. And it's hard out here. Like, we all have our lives. It's hard to stay on top of everything and be informed on everything all the time. But when you look at it, it's for the greater good of our island, our community, and the futures of our children, our grandchildren, and even continuing the successes of our ancestors before us is our responsibility to be informed.
Like you said, I mean, long before there was legislation, for marine conservation, my own father, thankfully, like many of the men in his era, they did a couple things. They made, they would say, make provision. Whatever they did, they would think about its impact and how. And then when you went out in the boat to get conchs, lobsters, or whatever, they said, well, save some for tomorrow. Now, on a personal level, today is Friday. I thought tomorrow meant, Saturday. And short order, it wasn't just the tomorrow that is Saturday, it's the tomorrow that never comes. You want to save. And there wasn't a limit at that time. So hopefully I recall it correctly. We're getting a dinner of conchs. And that was just enough for that day. It wasn't thousands and hundreds or tens. It was just a dinner, just enough. That approach that they had, I think somehow we've lost it. And we're just wasteful or greedy or, I don't know, maybe that sounds offensive, but we've lost it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's losing sight of working with what we have. Yeah. So, and in relations to this project, it could affect that very Cayman. We know we grew up with our ancestors, people before us all grew up with. This project in particular that we wanted to focus on today is a proposed dock that will be 138 feet long into 7 Mile Beach. So it's not a small dock, that's for sure.
That's running parallel to the shore or 138 perpendicular going out into the ocean?
Going out into the ocean.
Okay. So I did it right. Parallel, perpendicular. My math.
Yeah. Got that algebra.
138 feet out from the shoreline.
Yes.
And 10 feet wide as well.
Okay.
So it's a big dock, and it could pose some serious effects for our beach as we know it.
Tides, currents coming across, boats and people moving the bike. Okay.
It definitely could, like you were just kind of hinting on, be dangerous for public safety. If boats are coming by fast, you never know. People swimming with a new dock there, it could be possibly dangerous. But looking more, this dock's placement is in a marine reserve, right? So this is an area that's set aside for replenishment of fish, conch, etc. All the species we love to eat, save for the future, save for tomorrow. You're not even allowed to take those out of the marine reserves. You're not even allowed to anchor, yet we're going to build a dock in it.
Right. Well, there are two major things. I mean, I'm not a contractor by any sort, and certainly not a marine one, but to your research and knowledge, how is it going to be built? It's a marine reserve you shared, so obviously something has to be done. So the impact to that. And then the other thing, do we know, I'm reminded of a break, so when we come back, know how the construction is, the plans and application talk to, but also are there any other docks anywhere in Cayman, but certainly along the, from Northwest Point to, Southwest Point, that go out far, or are they all built perpendicular, parallel? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
All right. Well, Ms. Susan reminds us, pay attention. We're going to take a break, take some calls. She's like, be yourself. No, you know that's not possible. All right, please join us right after the break, and we'll take some calls as well.
Refer a friend and get $50 to spend when your friend or family member opens a personal account with Cayman National. From July 9th to September 30th, 2024, C&B customers can earn $50 for each referral who opens an individual or joint personal account. Earn up to $500 with a maximum of 10 referrals. Visit CaymanNational.com for more details on this promotion and follow us on social media for updates. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments September 4th to the 7th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email Dr. Porter Cayman at gmail.com. That's drportercayman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
The mission of the National Conservation Council and the Department of Environment has worked to protect and conserve the unique plants, animals, and habitats that make the Cayman Islands so special. Learn more at conservation.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we speak to members of Sustainable Cayman, Soleil, Parkinson, and Hannah Bodden, I'd asked 2 questions prior, but we have a caller joining us as well. Okay. Let's get engaged our public by listening to our callers. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Sustainable Cayman.
How are you, sir?
Okay, I suppose. Just a little tidbit on that dock that's extending at 130 feet or whatever it is. It appears it would destroy Edgar's Reef, and there's a lot of other things connected with it. But you referenced something about knowing some of these notices that go up in the paper.
Yes.
In your advocacy, I think you should try to get these notices that they put some reference point, because a person reads 9A 4C lot, there's a 50-story building going up. They have no reference as to where that is unless they go down and research it at planning.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. That's a very good point. Sustainable Cayman, actually, we had to go in, and like I said before, we had to book a meeting just to review the plan. And I guess that's something that maybe government could consider, that, the average layperson doesn't have time to go in on a weekday to review a plan, right? So that's definitely some concern, and I'm sure Sustainable Cayman should look into,
just some reference point as to where this location is at.
Yeah.
Because there's all just simple reference point.
Yeah.
And then it would flash to people, well, this is happening here. And
agree. So that they can see for themselves as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay,
And
sir.
I think that there was something about Barkas that I thought came up.
Well, it always comes up, but I don't know if I say anything this time. But tell us about it. About what you said about Barkas. Piques my ears. Let me hear you.
I think when this comment came up, the thought went through my mind, because at one time you could walk out on Barkas Beach there and walk out in water up to your knees and pick up the lobsters for dinner.
Right.
You could just, but I don't think you'll probably find another one there. And I say to myself, boy, there's not many people around here who could reference that back. But I mean, and that's just a good example of what has happened in the marine environment and talking about sustainability.
Yeah, of course.
It all plays in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
everything that happens on our island is so interconnected, and the way that we treat our island, water, land, whatever, all of it is so connected. So the reason we see declines like this is because of how we've been treating and what we've been letting slide past, and that's why we're here to talk about this today. Is we don't want to keep letting these just one small thing. The more small things we have, the more impact it creates.
Yes, and the bigger things just go on top of them.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, keep up the good work, and I think that reference point would be a big help in alerting people.
Indeed.
Having them be more attuned to what's going on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, to his point, I'm thinking if someone, as he said, there's an application and maybe it's the block and parcel or some reference number, but you don't know. And
Right.
without that reference point, you may go, that's just next door to me, or that's 2 doors down.
Exactly,
You might take more interest.
Exactly, that's true.
Okay, good point.
Yeah. Well, looking at the reference for this is Pageant Beach, which is across from where Kirk's is and KFC. It was a historic bathing pool, and it's a very, Georgetown Harbor is very historic. It's the end of 7 Mile Beach, just so you all know where it is. It's the new building that's coming up across from KFC.
Yeah. And the ship that was out there that wrecked. I mean, over the years, I've seen photos years ago and then over time, but even that, again, I'm not going to put you on the spot. I have not any more knowledge than the general public. But to your knowledge and through you, we were asked 2 questions. Let's ask a third one. He said, Edgar's Reef, but that wreck that is there,
yes,
how will that be impacted?
Yeah, so that's wreck of the Cali, which was in the 1980s, I believe. And it could be severely impacted by this project. It's a very popular dive site. It holds a lot of our history. And depending on how they plan to develop this dock, when you are doing drilling or anything of the sorts, it can cause sedimentation, which is where lots of the sand and sediment in the ocean floor comes up into the water, creates very murky conditions, and it can be really, really devastating for lots of sea life.
Okay. And again, not that I know, and probably what you share, I'll call my brothers and they'll explain it to me later, but I pretend I listen and understand now. I certainly listen. Do you know, or did the application state how the dock will be constructed? Is it floating? Is it suspended from clouds? I mean, how's it going to be done?
Yeah, so when we reviewed the plan, it was, from my understanding, that they're using vibrating hammers rather than drills. And obviously that's appreciated because you don't want to be using drills. But it is supported by concrete, obviously.
So pylons going down, suspended across, or ever so.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I was not given the depth. The plan that I reviewed didn't provide the depth. So, again, maybe that's something for them to consider in future, to provide the public with that information, because it would genuinely affect how we're processing it. Anyway, so they are using concrete and they're not using drills. I believe what was it that they were using? It was another material that they use.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's fine. I mean, even if you shared it, I'm sure
Yeah.
But this is where perhaps even to technical knowledge, should it even be there for that individual in the public who either A, can read and look at it straight then and there, or B, you know what, I can make a note, I know a guy, and can get it. the reason why, in relation to this dog, part of our discussion, I reached out to a fella and he says, well, in other jurisdictions, like the Nordic countries, for instance, and he referenced some ports, they have, he called it something different. I simplified it. Like a floating like dock, and it goes into secure, and it does little or minimal damage. You can tie up huge vessels. And not profess to understand anything he said other than I did pay attention. But he said, why don't we employ that? Some of them presumably can even be removed in, really, really, really bad weather, or can stay and it will weather the storms. And he talks about the fjords up in the Nordic countries. Again, I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that they are less harmful than a cement dock. I guess I'm not maybe the most educated on docks to speak on.
We're not docologists.
Docks, yeah.
See, I mean, I got stuff docology when I go to school next.
But when we're looking at something like a cement dock, like this one proposed, it has a potential to be very devastating on our beaches. In the fact that sand is constantly moving. Beaches are not stable. They move, they change, and that's a natural process, right? So if you're going to slap a concrete dock right in the middle of a natural process...
Just slap it on it,
Just slap it there. You're putting an unmovable, permanent object where there's a lot of impermanency. So it could actually really affect the way that sand is distributed on our beaches, and we're already having a problem with that.
Right. So let me then ask, again, if you know... the question before the break, the second one was the docks or similar structures that are erected anywhere in the Cayman Islands, but in particular between Northwest Point and South Sound, so point to point. Do they tend to go out perpendicular, or are they parallel primarily to the shore? Are there any sort of supplementary? Are there any other similar structures, length, size, width, as this one proposed?
I can't think of one off of the
I
top
don't
of
believe
my
so.
head that's similar to that, but the material that they use, I just remembered it's silt. So that's different to, I'm pretty sure that's similar to what most docks use as well.
I'll get you at some point to get that mic a little bit closer to you, because we want you to be heard much better. Thanks, Ms. Lula.
Thank you.
All right. Again,
Yeah, there isn't any that we know of at current. I mean, we could be wrong, but the thing is this is the most important thing of us being on here today, is what do we want our beach to look like? As Caymanians, as people living in Cayman, as people who love Cayman, do we want 7 Mile to have docks all down it? Because approving one is a gateway to approving more.
The precedent set, right?
Right.
All right. So looking at the Pageant Beach site, and I'm going to generalize, Port Soleil is right here, and then is that Georgetown Village? So right there. So north and south on those two boundaries, where, since it's going perpendicular to the shore, where on its site is it? Closer to one end, in middle?
It's closer to the left, right?
Yeah.
To the left, right, Alec?
Yeah. It is closer to the left from my understanding.
So more on the south side, closer towards the cemetery?
Yes.
That's coming towards Georgetown on that end there, closer to Port Soleil.
Yes, but again, don't quote me on this because the plan isn't gazetted yet. So when I reviewed the plan, this was last week.
No.
So
and the reason why, and speaking to this fellow, is that sometimes just even the positioning can impact not just the tides and the like, but the safety. So if you have something going out, and as you come around rather here, to what extent can we? All right, we got a news break. You got more time?
Yeah.
At least another few minutes with you.
Yeah.
Tell us more about what you know about it. Why are you telling us what we can do, should know? Would that be fine?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Can we order some turtle? Okay. We're going to take a break. The phone lines are available if anyone wants to share. 949-8037, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp call 925-3261 or use the Flow toll-free number. Now, I got a question so that I can make sure we understand. I asked our wonderful guests. Anyone listening can answer. Are there any similar docks between Southwest Point and Northwest Point that you know of? Hey, identify us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your latest headlines. When students at SciFec, the Cayman Islands Further Education Center, return to class on the 16th of September, they will be attending 2 different locations. The Ministry of Education and Department of Education Services has set up a temporary plan until their new location will be ready. That will see practical classes at the new John Gray High School from 2 to 4:30 p.m. daily, with theory at the Family Life Center earlier in the day. Students will be provided with transportation to and from home and between the school sites, as well as daily free meals. In international news, Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis says his government is seeking to establish Grand Bahama as a regional and transatlantic hub after it signed a $665 million agreement with the Grand Bahama Shipyard for a redevelopment and expansion project. Prime Minister Davis says the signing is of critical importance to the island, calling it an investment that will repair crucial infrastructure, catalyze the island's economy, and reaffirm the island's prominent role in the maritime industry. Davis, who led a government delegation to the signing, says the intention is to develop the shipyard to be among the top shipping operations in the world. Venezuelans today awoke to a major power outage in the capital of Caracas and several states. President Nicolas Maduro's government blamed the outage, which it said began at about 4:50 this morning, on electrical sabotage. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
The Health Services Authority would like to thank you, the Cayman community, for voting us the Best of Cayman Islands 2024 in 13 medical categories. As the largest and longest healthcare provider in the Cayman Islands, we have been caring for you for many generations, helping the people of our islands live longer, healthier, and happier lives. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
Hinton Roxroy Connolly was born in Creek, Cayman Brac on 9th September 1937. Fondly known as Big H to his family and friends, following a 5-year career at sea, Mr. Hinton returned to Cayman Brac, taking up work with Brac Power and Light Company for 3 years prior to moving to Grand Cayman, where he commenced employment with Cable and Wireless in March 1966. Big H would eventually move back to Cayman Brac, working his way up from a linesman to a supervisor throughout the 29 years of employment with Cable and Wireless, eventually retiring in August 1994. Following his retirement, Mr. Hinton continued to do electrical work for the many people of Cayman Brac.
The 7 a.m. Sports Report, brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us and in the studio from Sustainable Cayman for at least another maybe 12-15 minutes. Very grateful to both of you, not just for coming in and sharing, but for taking the initiative, making the time, invest in yourselves. So thanks very much, Hannah and Soleil, to you and the other 13. You said it's 15, right? So 13, 14. Yes, I counted it right. Nah, just teasing. It's important that we, if there's only one, at least one can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks again. Now, as we chat with you and benefit from the few more minutes of your time that we can, share with us what else you want to, Ms. Hannah?
Right. So I did want to touch on the beach access for this development. So again, from my review of the plan, there is a beach access point, right? And that beach access point has been there for as long as I can remember. But the main issue or the main concern that I felt the public might have is the fact that on the right side of that development, there is some Iron Shore and then there's some beach.
Okay.
And from my understanding, Iron Shore is considered private property.
Okay.
But beach is not.
So for my benefit, as you go on, when you say right and left, are
Yeah.
you facing the building?
As if you're facing the building,
So
yes.
the right would be north going towards West Bay, the left would be going towards town
Yes.
cemetery.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, so the beach access is to the left.
Okay.
And then the other side of, there is, I would say, about 5 feet
Mhm.
of beach, which is by regulation the amount
Okay.
of beach access that the public would want at minimum. And the reasonable individual would not swim around Iron Shore just to get to the beach.
Mhm.
So I guess one recommendation that we provided in our objection letter would be to provide another way for Caymanians to reach that beach.
Mhm.
Because how are you meant to reach that small, but still relevant part of the beach, but you know, again, a reasonable person would not swim around the Iron
So
Shores.
access, but also use and enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you
And-
said, like we need people to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not safe for people to be swimming around the Iron Shore to access the beach.
Okay. And if I understand earlier, you said that the dock would be on the left side, which is where the beach access. So if the dock
Mhm.
is there, the Iron Shore, and you come in, it could impede or somehow make it unsafe. Boats operating potentially. I just wondering.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a thought.
But at the end of the day, our biggest point and biggest takeaway for being here
Mhm.
is just for the public to please consider what we want our 7 mile, our iconic 7 mile beach to look like. Do we want it to be dock after dock after dock, or do we want to continue to have our untouched long 7 mile beach?
Mm.
And that's what really needs to be considered. And if you don't want it, and if you don't, you need to say it.
Okay. So this is an application because it's coastal works. The
Mhm.
public and everywhere can object, or is it restricted to just adjoining or a particular sort of area?
Well, everyone can, place a letter of objection.
Mhm.
I would recommend that if you do provide a letter of objection, people listen when they have proof, right, from a legal standpoint. And, if you can provide, whether that's a specific policy or through the lens and planning regulations, a specific reference to what you're objecting to, then, it provides the government with more context to consider, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important point because people will not want to understand your point unless you come across as informed. And ask Sustainable Cayman, if you have a lawyer in your family, maybe ask them as well, people who can help you understand the legislation.
Yeah, and you can send in your objection letters to coastal.works@gov.ky.
Mhm.
They are the people that you would send your objection letter to.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm told we have a caller joining us.
Okay.
And then another caller. If you
Oh,
guys have
wow.
time.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Well, let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. Yeah. Hello.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I am fine. This is Clydas. Good afternoon, young ladies.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm not quite sure who is.
Okay, so I was going to do that. Let me know. So we have from Sustainable Cayman, Hannah Bodden, Soleil, Parkinson.
Hannah Bodden, Soleil, Parkinson.
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good
Miss
afternoon.
Hannah. That's a much less mouthful. The rest, is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to pick up on one point that Mr. Loxley mentioned a little earlier.
Uh-huh.
Those about the reference points in terms of notification.
Right.
Yes. When I was at planning, we tried to do that in terms of having the applicant put up a sign on the site.
Okay.
Saying what is proposed at that site. but the CPA at that time did not acquiesce to that. So
Right.
we're now stuck with what we have. But it is never too late to change the regulations.
Exactly. Yeah.
It just needs that political will to do it.
Yeah.
And yes, what we have now is wholly inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
But I said that's what it is. We have a very good situation here in West Bay at the what we used to call in my younger days going out on the bay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Central West Bay. Having said that, the dock, yes, from what you're describing, because I did not go in to visit or to review the plans, which I think is in this day and age of technology, why should you have to go in, tour the glass house to actually view a plant?
Yeah.
That could be one of the options. But I mean, you could either put it on your website,
Mm-hmm.
and persons who have access to the web can just easily go and look at their leisure.
If I may ask, do you know?
No, you can't.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. In asking you this question, I require an answer forthwith, and I have you to be his. Given that our plans normally submitted electronically, no matter whether they're for any sort of coastal works, building development, houses to condos, hotels, and the like, are they all now have to be required to be submitted electronically, or can you still submit plans on paper and by hand?
That's a good question. I don't know if I know the answer to that.
I think he doesn't.
Oh, he does.
If
All
not,
right.
he knows a guy.
In planning, no, it has to be electronic.
Mm-hmm.
And I am 99% sure the same goes for postal work. So to put up a PDF on your website should not be a problem.
Yeah, I think it
Does
can
that answer
be.
your question?
Only partially, sir. Not. Okay, so yeah, I'll come back to you, Soleil.
Yeah, I think it can be very tedious to have to go in and review plans.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we all have busy lives. We all have jobs.
But it's convenience. So with those plans having to be submitted electronically now, again, to your mind, would it then be easier to facilitate the general public for it to be reviewed online, or is there any issue that potentially could compromise the process, affect data protection, intellectual property? I'm just trying to be as understanding as possible.
Yeah, so that's a good point in terms of the data protection. I know for, the developers, it's very important that certain things are not released to the public, and that's more than reasonable. So if there could possibly be like a plan that's presented to the public that is suitable, that fits within, their plans, then that's fine as well. It's just a matter of, I guess, what developers are comfortable with, and obviously within the regulations, right? Like, what can people see?
Okay.
So I think maybe it should be in line with.
I have an assignment for you, Ms. Hannah, but to Mr. Ebanks, sir.
Claydas.
Okay, Mr. Claydas. I will either get in trouble with you today. Yeah. No, but to that point, I mean, you wish to weigh in on it? Any opinion?
Yes. You can submit a set of plans, other documentation that will not compromise the intellectual integrity of yourself, your client, or anyone else. I mean, your site plan showing where it's going to go, how it's going to be constructed.
Yeah.
I mean, those things are basic. So whether or not you may think, okay, within yourself, oh, I should not, sign my name, or whatever else you may want to come up with. How else are we, the public, supposed to be able to offer some informed opinion unless we know this basic information?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can provide a lot of basic information for the public to view, to be able to make an informed representation, whether it be in support or in opposition to the proposed project.
Okay. Well, thank you, and certainly always appreciate your time, but not to, impose too much. Anything else you want to share with us?
It's a lot, but
all right. Well, sounds like we need to get chocolate.
3 Musketeers.
All right. I've got a selection myself. Well, talk to you soon, all right?
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
And before we take the next caller, if I might, Ms. Hannah, give you an assignment. Just out of curiosity, given your intellect and your prowess for research, wonder what other jurisdictions do in the region, but in particular Canada, the US, and UK, relative to planning applications, whatever they're called and how they're termed, but also what happens, it comes in. Is there public input, objections similar to ours? Is it online? Do you have to go into person?
Right.
I'll be curious at some point. I don't need any more than 500 words. Somewhere, no, because we talk about best practices.
Yeah.
What is the benchmark? What do other places do?
Right, yeah. I believe that some similar islands do have first a cap on development. And that's a whole other thing in and of itself. But the way that they are meant to develop, whether or not they decide to build on the shore or across from the shore, it really depends, I guess, on their zoning as well. Bermuda is I just went there to visit a friend from school, and she informed me of the fact that their regulations are very strict for building and how they build. So I think Bermuda is definitely a case study that maybe Cayman could learn from in many ways in preserving their beaches as well. So yeah,
I
have a look
appreciate
at
you
that.
taking. There you go. Can we take the call, and then I know you guys will get back to lunch and what have you. But thanks for your time. But let's take this other call.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good evening, Mr. Sterling.
And to you, sir. It is indeed a wonderful day. How are you?
Well, I'm enjoying the day. I'm alive. I'm looking down. I'm not looking up. So thank God for that. But he also tells us must look up, because in time like this, our redemption draweth nigh. Mr. Sterling, the young ladies that you have on your show today, what is their qualifications and who do they represent?
Okay. So I'm gonna let the answer after me. So one has a double PhD in both physics and mechanical engineering, a dissertation to be. No, just kidding. Let me see. Hannah, who wishes to go? Soleil, Hannah?
Go ahead. Okay, so we're both here representing Sustainable Cayman, which is a local nonprofit organization. But on our personal levels, I'm currently attending school in the UK, studying wildlife conservation, and have been working within the NPO space for a few years, both with DOE and National Trust throughout the years. So, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for calling. I have just finished boarding school in Canada, and now I'm a law student at the University of Exeter. I have a few internships under my belt under different law firms in the Cayman Islands, and I'm happy to say that my parents have helped me to understand the legal space further. I have worked in Youth Parliament in 2022 and received Best Speaker, where I reviewed our policies on real estate and how Caymanians can access real estate at affordable rates. So, yes.
Yeah. And what about you, sir? Your qualifications?
Pardon?
Yeah, share with us your qualifications.
Yeah, okay. My qualifications is, number one, I need you to bear with me a minute, because when you're talking about the 7 Mile Beach,
yes, sir,
I know your panel. I don't know about you, how old you is, because you older than you think that you is. But I'm talking about the young ladies that you have on your panel today. They weren't born yet. I remember, and my heart is very, very broken. Broken. I am in the departure lounge now in my years. I'm in the departure lounge. So you can, if you don't know what that means, I'll tell you when I'm through.
Yes.
But the 7 Mile Beach, I remember, and Mr. Sterling, you can remember as well as a young boy. The 7 Mile Beach was a beautiful place. Lone, well, they call Australian pine, we call them the weeping willow trees, and cocoa plum trees and grape trees were down there.
Right.
I remember as a boy, I used to go there with a machete sometime, and a rake for sure, and a sheet or two to spray down on that sun after we rake up the leaves and what have you from the trees that were so beautiful and protected and cool that we would wait on our parents to come. We would have picnics there and what have you. For Easter, we would have Easter hunt eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity earlier this week, somebody took me because they let me out from where I was, and they gave me a drive down into town where I was born and raised on Mary Street. It was called Maryland in my time at Mary Street. And I frequent the 7 Mile Beach all where the West End in that place is now. And I asked the driver, can I see the ocean? And I could not see it. It is so sad. Investors, money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, we need investors, but I got to tell you what, that plan in a and I don't hold in it back. I don't care. I'm 74 years of age, and I saw my time, and I did my time to society here in Cayman. They need to release every one of them people that are in the planning and put people in there that think, and for the love of Cayman, think about what's happening in Cayman. I thought that I was in Florida this week.
Yeah. But respectfully, is it the people in planning, whether the CPA or in the department, or is it the country and the demands and the desires of what we think we want? I mean, I hear your point, and I understand what you're trying to share, but I wonder to what extent are we, the individual? I take a page from these wonderful people here who are saying, this is what's happening, this is their interest. They're studying, right? They could be spending time, how many of us even now, irrespective of our age, is willing to invest their time finding out more, informing, and becoming better informed. So I hear you, sir.
Mr. Sterling, it's not what we want. We want many things, but is it good for us? Huh? Is it good for us?
Good question.
And I'm not blaming the foreign people that come in here to invest it. I'm blaming our own people too.
Yeah.
I'm blaming our own people too. This is not the Cayman that I know anymore. Cayman is not for Caymanians anymore.
So I
did not know, Mr. Sterling, give me 1 minute. I did not know where I was.
Right.
I did not know where I was in Georgetown and on the 7 Mile Beach where I grew up. Spent time there all my life.
I want you to help us, right? You shared that, you're in a waiting lounge, you're 74. Now, you got a couple of choices like we all do. We can keep quiet and do nothing, or we can step up, stand up, speak out. What is your advice to us now? What can we do and how can we do it?
Mr. Sterling, I had my time. I just said I had my time. And Caymanian don't have any men anymore. The women now, I think, will run this country and do a better job. I think the women will do a better job. They will unite together and they will work together. I think we need to give the women a chance now in Cayman Island. I hope the President of the United States will be as well, because it look like the men have failed us because we're selling out everything for the love of money.
Yeah. Our versus, yes, sir.
I'm trying to ask them young ladies there, will Caymanian children, my grandchildren, I don't think that they will have any hopes of owning any land in Cayman. I am sorry, because I don't have any to leave them.
Well,
God bless the Caymanians that got to leave for their children and don't sell their whole life for $1.
Yeah.
Because it is very sad what I am seeing. I never seen, take for instance, right here by Kirk Supermarket, right where my parents is buried in that cemetery there, right on the edge of the fence. That's fence there, facing the gas station. It's a jasmine tree there. My mother and my father there, grandfather and grandmother there, and I have one spot right there. And you know what is next to Dixie Cemetery? A big building on one side on the left, and a big building on the right side with the wharf is to the right. So now all they got to do now just come over and cover up the cemetery. What a shame. What a shame. And all of the governments just accept anything. I'm going to try to buy a wig, and I'm going to get a briefcase, and I'm going to, if I can come in on the Cayman plane and see if I can get anything done. Because once you come in as a foreigner here with a briefcase, you can get anything you want done. So I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
But you all have a good day. But I don't want to go Georgetown anymore. I don't want to go Georgetown anymore. My heart is broken. I'm telling you, I am hurt.
All right,
not only Georgetown, the Eastern District need little development, but they're developing up here fast too.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for that, and my prayer is that God will keep you, as you put it, in that waiting room for a long time, that you have, continued health and strength and presence of mind. Thank you very much, sir. And I know you guys have been great with your time as we close it out.
Yeah.
You're certainly welcome. I'm told there's some other calls, but we'll take them after the break. Final thoughts?
Well, touching on what he said, it is hard. It is overwhelming. It is easy to lose hope, and it's easy to lose hope in our future as young people in Cayman. We share the same fears. We share the same feelings. I haven't been around that long, a mere 20 years, but I do remember the days when 7 Mile was long and luscious and had lots of trees and such. And the one thing we can ask of Caymanians and Cayman to do is to vote. If you don't like who's in power, then vote. If you want to see things differently, then vote. And you have to be active in giving these objections, saying what you feel to the people that are running the government. Otherwise, nothing will change.
Yeah. Making yourself informed constantly doing readings. You don't have to be in law to be constantly reading, making sure that you're staying up to date with regulations. Ask, your local MP, your local MP's office. If you have a lawyer in your family or a paralegal, ask. That's the best thing you can do is ask and stay informed.
Thank you both. And at any point in the future, please always welcome your presence. Have a wonderful school year going forward.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions, they're free to reach out to us through the sustainablecayman.org or any of our social media channels as well.
Yeah. Thanks very much. It was an honor. All right, to our listeners, we're going to pause and, of course, open line, but we'll continue the discussion. A few things we want to read from our messages. So stay tuned. Join us after the break.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
If you're hearing, then maybe it's time you replace that old appliance. Now until the end of August, you can save 15% on all LG appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. LG washers, dryers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, microwaves, and hoods are all on sale at Brand Source Home Gallery. Not only will you save 15%, you also receive a 1-year parts warranty with any LG appliance purchased by the end of August. Only at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 623-5000.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
The end of summer sale is happening now through September 14th at Beacon Furniture, offering discounts on selected furniture, 20% off lamps, and 50% off selected cushions. Refresh your home with gorgeous pieces from Beacon Furniture and save. Visit us at 386 Shamrock Road, opposite the Seafarers Hall. Call us at 943-2500 or check our website at www.beaconfurniture.ky. Beacon Furniture. Buy it today and have it in your home tonight. Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is open line, and I think there's a call in the queue, Miss Susan. Okay, she says for 11 calls. Let's try to start with one. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
And to you, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. Good afternoon to Susan, if she's there.
Oh, she says hi. And she asked you for the corn turtle.
I'm checking on it.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
I wish I'd go hold to those young people that was on the radio a while ago. But unfortunately, they had to go, so I want to give them a comment.
Uh-huh.
I want to congratulate them for being so bold to stand up, because we need people to stand up, because we got to say just what Mr. George said. We don't have nobody, the older ones now, the left, that want to stand up for us. So they only see $1, and that's all they see. They don't see nothing, no protection for us.
Uh-huh.
It is so surprising this morning. I have some customers that are from Bermuda who I'm now picking up. Now they came off the cruise ship. When the guys, they're Bermudans, he asked us, how come we don't have a port? I said to him, he said, you know, as rich as Cayman is, he said Cayman should have a cruise ship port. So I explained to him. He said they read up a lot on Cayman history and everything, and they noticed that the Caymanians are voting for no port. He wanted to know the reason why. Well, I told him, you know, as a Caymanian, we had concerns about the 7 Mile Beach being destroyed. He said, oh, no, he said, because that's not what the government is making the public or the international media to understand why we are refusing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I explained to him, he said, you know something? He said Cayman is a little bit bigger than Jamaica. He said, let me tell you something. He said, slow down on the population. He said, that's our biggest problem right now. He said, our population is growing too fast. He said, Bermuda population is 64,000 people with all the little islands and everything, a total of 64,000 people. He said, we have slowed our population down. He said, we're dealing more on the business side, which is finance. He said, we have now implemented a tax to the foreign investors in Bermuda. He said, we have put so much rules and regulations in place. He said, nobody can build direct on the 7 Mile beach. He said, you can come from one end of Bermuda to the next and you do not find no hotel directly on the beach. He said that we should not be doing that. He said we should have left a good distance away from the beach so these people can now, that's where they should be built. He said, we need to implement a 15% tax as Bermuda has now. He said, we don't even have, Cayman does not. He said he used to work in Cayman in the early 80s, but he went back to Bermuda after a period of time. He's back in Bermuda now. And he said, Caymanians should be the ones that should be the millionaires in this country. He said that any Bermudan that got in, you see about in Bermuda got in, it's the Bermudans that's the millionaires. He said, not the foreigners, the millionaires in Bermuda. I told him, he said, but we need to blame our government because our government is too screwed up. They're only doing it for the almighty dollar. He said, so we need to cut our population down, slow it down. He said, if we got that kind of population and the size on it is not much bigger than Bermuda, he said, that's our problem. We're growing too fast and we've not got enough infrastructure in place to benefit Caymanians. So just for, and I mean, that's somebody looking on the outside looking at. He said they look at Cayman, they use Cayman as their example every day.
Okay. If I might ask, if you do know, right, but that's assuming that you know. The the gentleman you're speaking with, he is a Bermudan or he's just...
He's a Bermudan. He's
Okay.
right here by me. He's right here by me as we speak. He's getting off the boat now. He's a Bermudan, and he was the one that was telling us, he said, Caymanians should be the millionaires in this country, not the foreigners.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, he's born and raised in Bermuda.
All right.
He only came over here in the banking industry when it was, he said, and he left here, and I think they did it for 10 years. He worked in Cayman for 10 years, and he went back to Bermuda. I guess the rollover. Okay?
All right. Well, thank you, right? All right. Thanks very much.
We need to hold our government more accountable.
Right.
Okay.
Have a good afternoon. Talk to you again soon. All right. Let's take this next caller. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Sterling. How are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You know, a little friend there, one of my co-workers on the port there, you know, a lot of things that she's saying is so true because in one thing with these visitors, when they come to our island, they like to interact with us. And they can tell you more about Cayman. You can tell them about Cayman because they are studying Cayman. Because when we are here sleeping, people are researching the Cayman Islands and any other small island or any part of the world. So I have came across a lot of good conversation as well too in regards to this Cayman Island and where the people should be at and where they shouldn't be at for island people and people coming taking over and so forth and so forth. But anyhow, I like her conversation. She's speaking the truth, you know. A lot of people abroad have Cayman at heart, especially our island people. They know what it is to live on an island. And when it's being destroyed by a lot of investors, all the islands hurt. And all islands, you know, look upon us and say, you know what, that shouldn't be happening to that magnitude and all that kind of good stuff. You know, we will have to do some billing, and we will have to bring in some work permits. But I really feel, truly, Sterling, we have gone overboard with everything on this island. And Sterling, when I say overboard, when you look on our roads, I wish today that we would have had one lane going and one lane coming. You hear me? Because this thing about 3 lanes here and there, and everybody is switching back and forth in the front of you, no warning, but yet they got a sword in their hand or a phone in their hand or the comb in their hand or the cordless shave in their hand, but yet They're out here disrespecting the next driver, taking out people's lives innocently. Something needs to be done. Some stopping needs to be done on this island, because let me tell you something. Sterling yesterday, today on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today's the fourth day the school has really, you said third day school has fully opened. Especially the government schools. And so let me tell you something. We spent over extra 30 minutes on the road yesterday, and not because of the rain, because of the vehicles out there picking up their children from private schools and government schools, and the road it was bumper to bumper. And in the majority of cases, they got wet. But, I mean, what can we do? We take them to the closest point, and parents are still not happy. I mean, a lot of people see the weather bill up, and they should, something going to happen. We had a few parents came out with their umbrellas, which I thought was a plus. And a child should have a backpack of emergency stuff on them, because we just don't know when it's going to rain. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They should have something on them. So, they want to give the drivers hell, want to give the wardens hell because their child may get wet or something in that category. This is Mother Nature, and they have to work towards Mother Nature too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any umbrellas on the buses. We don't have no raincoats on the buses, and so forth and so forth. So I just asking the parents, let's just take a little bit more consideration and responsibility of your child. Give them a little extra backpack or an emergency little bag inside of the school bag that they may need,
the umbrella or a raincoat or something. Yeah.
A raincoat or something in that category,
Right.
But yeah, are you finished with me?
Only if you finish with me.
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, I'm honored.
Okay. I had a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, came up a couple of days from Florida.
Uh-huh.
So, we was going around the island and so forth. And started, let me tell you something. The customer service out here in various restaurants, it is a shame to see how you're being treated. And I guess it's because we Caymanians, But, Sterling, one restaurant was so bad. I told the lady, I say, you need to take the gratuity off of this bill. She was rude. She was full of attitude. She never had no pleasantness about it. She never said thank you, welcome. Well, can I get you something else? Since the coffee creamer is made your coffee curdle, we asked for regular coffee, and it was not regular coffee. So we switched out there and say, we take a juice. And the funniest thing about the bill, Sterling,
mm-hmm.
the stuff that we ordered was categorized under another number in the computer, in the cash register. Yeah, it ringed up under something else that we didn't even have. And I'm like, whoa, really? It is when I got home look on the bill that I saw that, But Sterling, let me tell you something. We went to stay in a local restaurant on this island, and the service was terrible. The food was terrible. We went to the famous mango tree, I'll call it him. Some of the food was very good. We went down to the Eats Cafe. The breakfast was great. But everywhere else that we went, I wouldn't even bother call the name. It was terrible. It was terrible. What was not full of pepper was cold as our nose. And you talk about something, Sterling, they say they were serving Cayman beef at a restaurant here in Savannah. You know what I had looked like, Sterling? If someone had opened a couple of cans of corned beef and had it corn with that kitchen bouquet. When you open it up, it was just as mushy and small. My friend, she didn't even eat it. She asked, what is this? I said, this is what they call Cayman style, my dear. So, sorry. Very sorry, But, Sterling, tourism on this island, there's so much stuff that can be done more than building a port. We may need a port. But Sterling, if their desire for Georgetown, I think is, out of the question, I hope. Because look at what's happening downtown Georgetown right now with this. I can't even pronounce the word. I call it decoration.
Suppose the revitalization, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
yes.
I hear you, man. But maybe it's just growing pains, huh? I know we have the scheduled break, so you want us to catch up another time?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for what you're doing with our children, and obviously, our prayers are for a safe school year. So thanks so much. When we return from the break, we're gonna read a couple of messages, but we invite you to share this open line. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
Attention shoppers, the anniversary sale at Tomlinson Furniture is here and hotter than the summer sun. If you're looking for new furniture or bedding, Tomlinson Furniture in the Mattress Gallery has you covered. Everything in stock is on sale. Special orders are 10% off. Now till August 31st, save up to 50% on selected items. Spin the wheel with each purchase. Everyone is a winner while supplies last. And enter to win our Jumbo Serta Sheep mascot or a Jumbo Beauty Rest turtle. Don't miss our 49th anniversary sale on now till August 31st at Tomlinson Furniture. Affordable, dependable, quality.
Work's new jobs and online payment services is officially live. Experience a more user-friendly site with easier navigation and enhanced features. Job seekers can now explore additional features tailored to their needs. Employers can benefit from a streamlined process for managing job posts and applications. Online payments are now a breeze. Discover more at worc.ky or call us at 945-9672.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Mike, thank you for joining us. It's open line for the remainder of today's program as we take this next call. Hey, thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Doing fantastic. How about you?
Well, I think I'm good. You always look good. It looks like nothing really troubles you, Sterling. You always look relaxed.
My friend, thank you for saying that, man. That's prayer because it's not my doing, but it's
well. You know what the good book says? It says, acknowledge him in all thy ways and he shall direct thy paths. I think you are following that.
Listen, thank you for that. I'll say this, I keep telling people I'll be the first to volunteer to pray because let he who is the biggest sinner be the first to seek, forgiveness. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's. I really enjoyed your discussion with the ladies who were on. I wanted to call during that time, but then I felt I wanted to listen a little more because they were saying something. They were saying a number of things relating to legislation, which I'm interested in. But also they were saying a lot of things that I didn't know about, so I wanted to listen a little more. So, you see, let me approach it this way. What I want to say, you see what has been going on. I've been following a little bit of the discussion about the increase in fees, and which the credit union who were on your show and OC's show we're talking about.
Yeah, they came on OC's show. I didn't have them on recently. On my show.
Oh, your OC show.
Yeah.
Okay, very well, yeah. So, I mean, and then I read in one local publication saying that, in fact, the Premier called on that show to say, hey, what the minister has put out for consultation regarding the increase in fees, it is not something that the Premier had approved. It didn't go to caucus. It didn't go to cabinet. I also read that the leader of the House, Mr. McKeever Bush, also called and said, hey, this hasn't gone to caucus and cabinet. How can it go out there?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is emblematic of a number of things that have been happening in Cayman. Cayman is the 5th largest financial center, last time I checked, in the world. And this should not happen. It should never, ever happen that in a cabinet Westminster type of government, it should ever, that the Premier would not know that something like that was being done, and then he has to call in to a show to say, look, this was never approved. Now, what is the problem? The problem is, okay, the ladies who were on, they talked about the need for people to vote in a certain way. Okay, the other caller as well, who was who said, look, I'm 74 years old, and look at what is happening to Cayman. He also expressed certain things. But you see, to me, this is part of one and the same problem. One, I've already expressed the view that I don't think that elections in Cayman are changing anything. All the concerns that people have expressed are not going to be changed by elections. With every election, 2 or 3 good people do come in who want to really change things, but they are overpowered by the rest. If there's going to be any change regarding most of the things that everybody has been talking about, there will have to be something like more like a people action, major constitutional change, and so forth, because the people who control each government which comes in are the same. Don't change. The people you don't elect, they don't change, but they always ensure that certain policies are carried from government to government, Now, why did this mistake happen, that a minister can put things like that for consultation and it has caused all this furore? The reason is because the government doesn't take enough time to properly orient its staff regarding what they are supposed to do in relation to particular legislation. I can't imagine that the minister didn't know that he couldn't consult in that way. His counselor didn't apparently know that you can't consult in that way. How about the chief officer? Didn't the chief officer that you can't consult in that way? How about the policy advisors? Because policy advisors are supposed to also learn how to transition policy into legislation. Why? It is because the government has never taken time to ensure that people who are proper, who deal with these matters are properly trained. You know, when I followed up on the story, I went to the actual consultation document, and the first thing that I checked in that, the first thing I looked for was the word cabinet. And in a 19-page document, it had cabinet once. And you know what it said? The sentence was, these proposals are expected to be approved by cabinet and later by parliament within 2024. First of all, the first hit about cabinet should have been that cabinet has approved the following draft for consultation. Why? Because nothing should ever go out to be consulted on without cabinet approval. It doesn't. You go to New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and so on, because these are sensitive things. Because even if cabinet were to say, okay, we haven't agreed, but we have authorized these to be consulted upon, some governments have been brought down because they have said, we don't care whether or not this is going to be passed, but for you to even think of proposing this is a problem. And I think that Premier Juliana, when she called the show, she knew that, because already it was causing her a problem. before any consultation takes place on any document, it must go to Cabinet. Cabinet should discuss it and in great detail, and they should say, this is our preliminary decision, but let it go out there. But it must be a Cabinet decision. This was a consultation which began without a Cabinet decision, and that's a problem. Now, then you see people are talking about, well, your two ladies who were there were saying, well, it is important for all of us to get engaged, and they are right about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what the problem is? The government doesn't want the people to be engaged. Too much of the problem. People are always objecting. Look at what they did in relation to the firearms law.
Mm-hmm.
They prepared a firearms amendment law, a major amendment. And I have friends in the gun club, and we discussed details of the legislation. They never consulted the gun club before they put out that. Okay? The gun club had to ask for a meeting after the draft was already out there, and then they went out there and they got a few token concessions, but I believe now it is gone back again. I do not believe that they will really impact it. Why? Because the government doesn't want to consult. In a previous call, Dwayne, I've mentioned to you about how I designed a course specifically bespoke for the Cayman Islands. I wrote a little book, detailed PowerPoint with a file of materials of a certain course, which I taught a little bit in the Cayman Islands, but the government boycotted it. Anybody who has done that course, and there's some people particularly in planning, I taught about 25 people in planning, they will tell you straight away that what was done was wrong. Why? Because those are the issues that I saw were a problem in Cayman and needed to be sorted out. But what did the government do? They boycotted the course. They spent $80,000 to pay a KC and a senior counsel to prevent me from teaching that course so that Caymanians can avoid this kind of problem. Mm-hmm. So the problem we are dealing with is not only just elections are not changing anything, but also the government doesn't want to consult. And what people have to now think about in Cayman is, how do we force the government to consult us? How do we force the government to be able to do what we want? Elections is not the way to do it. They need people action. Let me close on one thing. Mm-hmm. Beach access. I was involved a little bit in beach access in much later years. I started being involved around 2017. Initially, I joined a little group, not formally, but an informal group. Later on, I represented them legally in court as well. And I learned in the course of that the government actually doesn't even want to grant beach access as a matter of policy. 500 affidavits, approximately 500 affidavits, were sworn by people to identify about 200 beach accesses. Uh-huh. And these were, they tried, the Concerned Citizens Group tried to register these beach accesses. And the government didn't support it. Up to this day, it's still in court. And in fact, government later on came back and said that those affidavits now had become stale. There's no basis to say that. So what we are dealing with in Cayman, a lot of people, what they are talking about, yes, it is good, but the government doesn't want to consult, and they have to be forced by people action so that they can consult. Right. Forget about elections. The elections will never change anything.
Well, listen, would you, if I may, as we go to the news break, would you give consideration to a future discussion about parliamentary process, in particular the Westminster model under which we labor versus something else, and maybe a comparative analysis of other jurisdictions, including within the Commonwealth and our former colonial places? Would that be something we could talk about?
Yes, we could talk about that. I don't know when you want to talk about that. But
you want to hang on? We can talk about it now, but if not, we can.
I can talk about it now at another time, anytime, please.